Greetings. My name is Angelo Disabella, and today I will be discussing the proposed changes to the minimum wage and the potential impacts on small businesses and larger organizations. Today I'll be discussing the federal and state minimum wage, the raising of the minimum wage from $7.25, and the bulk of my presentation will be talking about how increasing the federal minimum wage can do more harm than good to small businesses. Some of the subtopics I'll be talking about are how small businesses are affected differently by the change as opposed to larger businesses. I will also be discussing how the location of the business plays a part in how it's affected by the minimum wage. And then finally, I'll be discussing the after effects that small businesses will have if the minimum wage is increased, depending on the location that they reside in. With a proposed change to the minimum wage, there's more to think about than just what is going on in the employees' wallets. For employees to be paid more, the solution must be a viable option for all businesses, whether they are small or large. I will compare my hometown pizzeria to Apple Incorporated to show how increasing the minimum wage may not be a fix-all solution. I think most people can agree that pizza is a commodity that is not going to go away for a very long time. It is ingrained in American culture as one of our favorite foods. So, there is no threat that pizza will disappear. But, for local pizza restaurants that are not chain restaurants, an increase in the minimum wage can potentially kill its business. To compare a small business to a large organization, I will compare this local pizza restaurant to Apple Incorporated. Apple Incorporated is currently worth $1.3 trillion as of 6 January 2020. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that this small pizza business is worth $1 million. To put things into perspective, if you were to stack $1 million as $100 bills, $1 million would equal to 40 inches high. Now let's move up to $1 billion. $1 billion in a stack of $100 bills is about 40,000 inches, which is a little more than half a mile high. When you move up to $1 trillion stacked in $100 bills, it is 40 million inches high, which is 631 miles. To put that 631 miles into perspective, that is the distance of driving from Atlanta, Georgia to Washington, D.C. I'm showing these analogies or metaphors because there's a significant difference between these two businesses. One is considered one of the most successful businesses of modern time, while the other is a family-owned restaurant that has been in my hometown longer than most people can remember. There are not a lot of employees at this pizza business, but the business is consistent to remain financial security to stay open. By raising the minimum wage, this family-owned pizza restaurant is going to have to make some tough calls regarding their product and the employees. Apple Incorporated is in a much better position to meet this requirement. They have a large amount of overhead and can easily meet this requirement without having a huge interruption with their products or rights to their employees. Raising the minimum wage is not a simple solution. Some large organizations like Apple Incorporated could handle the requirement just fine, but this potentially can kill small businesses as they financially cannot support this requirement. Location is a key part of ensuring that a business is successful. With the discussion of making changes to the minimum wage, it should be noted that the metrics for increasing the minimum wage do make sense for some areas, but can also be detrimental to other areas. Let's look at Ely, Minnesota. Ely has less than 10,000 residents and is located near lush forests. It's basically in the middle of nowhere, with a lot of locally run businesses. However, Ely does not receive a huge amount of foot traffic compared to other places like Los Angeles, California. This means that the businesses there do not receive as many profits or sell as many products as a business in LA would. The cost of living is lower in Ely, and the economy is cheap. Raising the minimum wage on these local businesses could cause them to go out of business since they just do not receive that type of business flow in order to support it. Now look at Los Angeles, California. Los Angeles is a huge city and currently has over 4 million residents. It is a popular town with a high cost of living due to the nature of the business in the area. Increasing the minimum wage would make sense since the city of Los Angeles has a constant thriving economy, and there are more than enough residents and travelers to support these businesses. This does not take away from the fact that increasing the minimum wage for these small businesses in Los Angeles could hurt them, but the city's economy dictates that the employees need to make more in order to survive. Raising the minimum wage looks great as a headline and looks amazing on paper. I do not think there is a single person that does not want to be paid more for what they are currently paid. However, the money that is needed to raise the minimum wage must come from somewhere in the business. As I stated earlier, Apple Incorporated has a huge amount of overhead. They can make the change and not change any other aspects of their business and still be perfectly fine. However, for that small pizzeria I previously mentioned, and those small businesses in Ely, Minnesota, there will be some tough decisions to make. If it would be required for them to change the minimum wage, then changes would have to be made to the workforce, the workflow, hours worked, prices for goods and services for the businesses to survive. Nothing is free, and that money needs to come from somewhere. Larger organizations that have a larger overhead might have the option to make less costs since they are expanded and are not reliant on geographical locations to meet those needs. Those businesses in Ely, Minnesota will be affected by the consequences if the change is made. With any change, there come good and bad consequences. In some areas of the United States, increases in minimum wage are desperately needed for people to earn enough to survive. However, not all locations share the same issue. As human resource managers, we need to ensure that our organization is making the legal and correct decisions to ensure that a profit is being made while also simultaneously ensuring that the employees of the organization are paid well and receive their benefits. There is a balance to how this can be accomplished, but trying to think of a single solution to this problem is the wrong way to accomplish it. How this should be done is factoring all the previous statements I made, determining whether the business is small or large, the location it is in, or locations that they are in, and the potential effects they can have if the change is made. It is important that employees are paid a livable wage, but it is also important that small businesses can support this initiative in order to stay in business and thrive. Here are my references. Thank you very much.